Right. Well, hello everyone. I am Michael DiBenigno, head of business here at Flow Immersive, and I'm going to go walk through basically building a flow from scratch. This was an early experiment from a few weeks ago when I first got the survey results data. And the main story here that's kind of interesting, or at least what I think is interesting, or the thing that we're exploring a bit, is that a company called Verisight had reached out to me, and they had actually created their own data set, or created their own survey rather, and provided the results to me in terms of, and I'll go through the questions, but it basically asked like who was in the right, who was in the wrong, and then some characteristic data, as well as, they asked some interesting questions. But I remember just prior to getting this, actually the same week, I'd seen a Twitter post, and this was from Blue Ridge Media. I have it saved somewhere. But anyways, this was the thing they put out there that sort of took hold, and it shows some interesting trends where on the age side, you see this strong correlation between the younger someone is, the more they think Chris Rock was in the right, was more in the wrong, and that Will Smith was less. And so what's interesting is that Verisight was like the opposite. I think they got the opposite results. And so it to me, it sort of points to this one, like, why the big discrepancy? And I think there's a few different avenues to explore there, but the first thing to do, I think, is actually to show the visualization, to be able to compare and contrast these two different visualizations, these two data sets. So let's go ahead and start to actually dive in, and I realize I was probably covering up most of this. So this is sort of one I was playing around with a bit, but let me close this, and we're going to start fresh. Start from a fresh sheet here, and this is the raw data. So these are the survey results. So it's around almost 2,000 results. This is the side who they sided with, if they thought it was real or staged. Now, let me open up the list of questions, actually. Okay, so sorry, I'm totally distracted by some things. Okay, stop. I'm gonna dose. So let's see here. So unacceptable is it ever acceptable to hit someone who verbally insults? So maybe what I can do is add the question in here too. Okay. So I know there's a few things that I'm going to want to do to this data sets, one of which is to be able to order these correctly. We need to change them to numbers or add numbers to them. That's basically the easiest way to get it to sort correctly. So the first thing let's do is take this whole data set, and we'll insert a pivot table. And so adding this pivot table should allow us to start to explore the data and see some of the insights without doing too much, really. On that point, so let's add in side. It doesn't matter. Interesting. really just want to count. So those are the overall respondents. Those of those versus not. Off total. So there's a bunch of different categories that we can start to slice and dice this. What we decided to do is basically merge the two together here and basically be able to take a third survey of the same data. And so we might send this out as well if people are interested. But let's actually get back to the data set itself. The main thing I really wanted to do here, besides exploring the data, is actually more so just to look at the unique values. So the unique values for the different areas. So agree, disagree, strongly disagree. Just want to see if there's a middle category. No. So basically 4 different categories. Great. And I probably could have just done, I think there's a way to just do summary statistics. I go in here. Almost done. There we go. Just give some basic info. Okay, so we sort of know what we need to change here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is do a find and replace by Control F. So I'm going to find everything that says strongly disagree. So I want this to be last. Right. I'm just going to put that as a 1. So strongly disagree. Disagree. So we're going to change to disagree. I'm going to do B. I'm just adding a number to the front of these to assist with sorting in a very short order. We will be doing sorting. So strongly agree will go to 4. Okay. So I made those updates. That just will help with sorting these in the right order when we have it along an axis line. Now the other thing to consider doing here is actually creating some bins. So inside of Flow we don't have automated bin creation, but what we can do here is just look at a histogram more or less of this. So if I look at the column stats, you can sort of see the distribution in ages here as we scroll through. That's kind of interesting. Wow, there's a big drop off between 39 and 40. Huh. Fascinating, actually. Okay, that's actually kind of interesting just without without updating this precise bins. But we might as well make some bins, mostly because actually the other survey looks at it in bin form. So we should probably do that as well. So they do 18 to 34. So we're just going to basically mimic the bins that they use. And to do that, I'm going to just write a quick formula. So for this, I'm going to say age bin. So if equals if, and if J2, so age, is, let's see, less than 35, then the answer is 18 to 34. If it's false, then we want to say if J2 is less than 50, that would be 35 to 49. And then if that's not true, we want to say if J2 is less than 65, it would be 64. And if that is false, then it would just be 65 plus. So just to okay, maybe I need to actually use quotes instead of single. No, don't use single. Or sorry, single apostrophe. Gotta use double. Okay, so there's a formula to create these age bins to match this other one. What other thing we got? I guess there's not as much demographic, just gender. Some politics, education. I think I see that in here. Okay. Oh. Okay, so we got a little bit of info. Yeah, what other things match? Is it sometimes necessary to discipline your child? Sort of close. Is it acceptable to hit? Is that in here? That's the very first one, so that kind of matches. So that's good to know. So this matches in some sense. Income is not in here. So we'll be missing some details. But the age groups are there, and gender, and that one question. As well as political a bit, but just look actually real quick. The stats. So about equal split amongst everybody. Probably something they accounted for. Okay. All right. So I think to find some age bins, we've added that in. Anything else we're going to want to do here? So we're going to be essentially showing aggregations and percentages. Now the percentages won't be calculated automatically here instead of flow. So let's just look at one as an example. So it's acceptable or not was of interest, and which side someone's on the columns. And then add the values in. this as a sense of it's actually, sorry, percentage of row. Okay. Okay, so yeah, pretty strong dynamics there, definitely. Oh, okay, got it. So definitely a pretty strong correlation, way more than this one's results, which is interesting. It's pretty dramatic. So that's definitely one to highlight. So we'll start there, then maybe look at the age groups. That'd be next. So we just copy this over here. Values only. So then instead of looking at unacceptable, let's just look at the different ages. Well, actually, let's do the age bins since more sense, and I need to update this probably. Add more columns. Nope. Back. Well. Age bin. All right, so say okay, they're showing a different trend. This one, so 18 to 34. Basically, as someone gets older, it looks like the more likely they are to side with Chris Rock. The younger they are, the more they're side with Will Smith. Which is opposites down here. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So let's start to actually build this. And stream bit rate of 4 seconds. That. Okay. All right. So let's actually start to build something. There's a column here. Just see if I can adjust this. So stream. Pause. Okay, I'm still on stream. So let me... Okay, so record. right. So we're going to be building a flow together here. This is this survey results I found on the Chris Rock versus Will Smith controversy. And this photo was going around Twitter for quite a while. Hi, Chris. First, yes, you are. Welcome. I don't do this often, but it's good to connect with some of you guys. I'm just gonna be building a flow, and I was like, well, why not just, build it for other people, or so you can see sort of the end-to-end process. So someone had provided some data regarding a survey they conducted on people's thoughts on the Will Smith versus Chris Rock controversy. And there was some interesting insights, just based on some sort of demographic data and some other slices that I was just going to start to explore. So let's start to dive in. And if you guys have questions, feel free to ask, but I'm just going to start building. And what you're looking at, by the way, is my computer screen, in case you're wanting to know why it looks so strange. So anyways, I'll load in this data set, and we'll sort of start from there. So I don't really know where this build's going to go necessarily, but you'll be along the ride here. And so let me just find the data set first. Okay, so this is just a CSV file of the data sets. And so if we quickly look through, you can see quite a lot we basically can see the data sets, and we can start to add groupings to look at it and slice it and dice it in different ways. So one of which we could go in here. Oh, is age bin not there? I don't see age bin. Oh, that's why. Okay, so I actually have it over here as a Google Doc as opposed to the raw CSV that I loaded in, which makes this even easier. So I'm just going to copy the direct link to it, and that way I can switch this from CSV to Google Drive, and then it can import directly from your Google Drive. So actually way faster and way easier to connect that than it is to always load in a CSV. But then now I have the age bins in this data set. So, one of the slices I think we were talking about is grouping by age bin. And I guess through this whole thing, what we want to see is the percentage breakdown within each group, because that's really the thing that this other survey was comparing. Anyways, I'm gonna just keep talking out loud. Hopefully that's helpful here to hear sort of the process, and you guys are not seeing a ton on here, but let me try to get to some things that are a little bit more visual here in just a moment, and that probably will be a little more exciting. Okay, so I have that, and then I need which side they are supporting. Second, actually, create a snapshot for that. So we'll go through snapshots at some point, but actually let me try to build first without any snapshots, since I think that's what we're going to try to go through in today's okay, cool, there we go. Okay, I guess you can sort of see that on my phone. Apologies, it's not perfect. They haven't allowed me to do this. You just have to load the CSV. We have some sample data, and there's lots of different data repositories you can go to. So Kaggle.com is one public source. Actually, I can point you guys to some articles on it. But yeah, there's a lot of really good public data out there. In addition, the Reddit community is a great community for data is beautiful, people sharing original content and sharing data sets there too. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. So on the how do I want to do this? I think the first thing we're looking at is just the overall percentages, or percentages per whatever. So first, let's just look at the respondents based on whose side they supported. So we'll have the two categories, and then in additional dimensions, if we go ahead and add some dispersion, we can add these columns in and can increase the number of dots here. This is a pretty basic way to show it, but easy to see the percentages that way. I think it is interesting to denote that each dot is an actual survey respondent, which is kind of interesting, and it gets much more interesting when you have 47,000 dots as opposed to just a few here. Or this is, I think, 2,000 respondents, which is pretty good. But you're welcome, Chris. So let's see, going here. So I'm gonna actually color these just based on, actually, let me think about this for a second. I think position is going to be who they support, like which side are you on, and then another dimension can basically be like age group or some of these other questions, and that could be another dimension. So the question is, for color, do we want to distinguish between the two sides? I don't think so, because I think position does that. Age, maybe. I don't want to see it as just the percent, like the count percentage would be different calculation. But anyways, let's just keep it simple for now, and we'll do this based on age bin. I don't really want to do age bin. I'm just going to keep it simple for now. We can change it later. I'll keep it to the sides. And I like my new neon color. All right, so these are all the people that said Will Smith was in the right, and here are all the people that said Chris Rock was in the right. So this survey showed very different results than a different one that came out with the same number of respondents that was saying more people supported. Oh, wait. All right. Oh, okay. The phrasing is odd here. Which side was more wrong? Chris Rock was more wrong. This is saying which side was in the right. So the questions are opposite. So they are showing different results, and maybe that's because of the wording of the question. It's why they're seeing such different results here. And okay, so let me get back into this. Okay. So let's add a dimension here. Let's do that. So with our depth axis, one of them, if it was acceptable or not to hit. That led to interesting responses. So the thing that matters is the percentage, excuse me. The thing they're mostly highlighting is the percentage between the groups as the main highlights. You can see the overall trend here somewhat generally. Let's look at some other ones. So that was to the question of, is it ever acceptable to hit someone who verbally insults a partner or family member? So I sworn we saw something else. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay. So this is why I put the numbers in there, because the order is wrong. That's why the correlation is hard to see, or the line is hard to see. So let's sort that depth axis so that it is alphabetical. There we go. And we can have it go either direction. I think descending makes more sense. Should update the title here so that it's more understandable. So this is way too long. That's actually okay. And I can move that label. But it's I gotta actually move it back 5 meters and up 0.5 meters. Now it's gonna stay up there. And then ideally I want to put the percentages on top of this. That's where actually where we need to use the grouping. So let me think about the way I can do that. But okay, so we have one view. Start to slice this a little. Oh, well, I guess actually one thing we could do is actually just stack them. So we don't even need this width axis at all. So if we take out the width axis and we just combine these, and we are going to need to resort in. So that's actually going to be done through snapshot as well. So should I jump to that? Yeah, let's do it. So in snapshots, let's actually sort this now by side. Okay, take a snapshot, call it snapshot 2. Let's call this reordered. That's snapshots. Right. So now snapshot 2, so now these are showing up correctly. Pretty convincing, actually. I like that. Well, thanks for the likes. Okay, so that's one view. Let's look at the age demographics, actually. So let's add a step. Now let's look at the ages. And let's make this just 1 point. See the ages as they stand. Let's actually add the width back out now. Yeah, so I think it's interesting. I mean, one, it's interesting just to see like these weird cutoffs. Like, there's a lot of people that responded that are 39. We actually add a interaction. So interaction, unselect, overlay text, and so just tell us what details are here. Don't need the dates. Okay, that's it for now. So, oh, I want the age. That was the main thing I wanted. Wait. Age. Yeah. So there's a lot of people here 39, and there's like a cutoff. Anyways, I'll just keep it as a step here, but let me move forward. And on this visualization, what do I want to do? So let's look at the bins actually. Instead of looking at the specific age, if we look at the bins instead, we can start to group these together. And so by doing so, let's go ahead and add in Okay, this is another one where the order is something we need to fix. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so these are like boring stacked bars basically, but I do think it's interesting where you can see like the total number of respondents per group, but also the difference within each group. Green being those that support Will Smith, pink being those that supported Chris Rock, and there's some other distinguishing features here, the real versus fake. That's kind of interesting. So let's slice and dice it that way too. So if on the width axis we okay, interesting. Oh, it's gonna have to have two steps, that's right. So this is Flow Immersive is the software. We actually just have been going through here. Let me turn my camera actually so you can see me. Sorry, I'm still figuring this out. Live. Okay. So yeah, we more recently went live with our software, and so yeah, we've just started letting people in. It's been pretty awesome to see people and what they're building over the last couple weeks. So yeah, here to answer any questions, but was just going through and building a flow. So I thought I'd bring you guys along. Let me see what questions you guys have. A lot of disagree. Oh, interesting. They're just because they grew up with Will Chris, a stronger feeling. I'm gonna have to interpret this on my classes. Yeah, fair. Funny AR software for counting pages, good, and simulation. It's Flow Immersive. It's the software. But I'll flip the camera back around so you guys can see me continue to build. But yeah, feel free to ask questions, etc. But I'll mostly just be building for a little longer here, and then I have to run a quick errand. Back. Okay, so let me start actually with a new swarm, and the reason being is that I'm sort of more of a proponent of a different way to do this. So same data sets, but let's look at snapshot 1, where snapshot 1 we have age bin followed by the side. And so what I want to do is actually aggregate this information. So I want the count, who they're supporting. I guess I really want the count for all of these. It's not going to work for that. Yeah, so we might have to that, but let's roll with it for now. Okay, so now if we look at this as hierarchy, I'm a big proponent of hierarchies just because I think it's a pretty, not unique way, but it's a pretty logical way to look through data sets. So what we're looking at is each color is who they support. Let's change that to side. Oh, I know why. Okay, so it's looking at the count of each one of these. That's why it's showing that. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. In the actual data sets, I'm going to make a quantity value, and I'm just going to make that 1 for all. Or I guess I could have done this numerous different ways, but this is the first one that came to mind. What I'll do is refresh the data sets. Okay, so snapshot 1. I want to remove aggregation by side, and instead I want to get the sum of quantity. And that way for each of these, I can just pull back the first value, have a value, update the snapshots. And now when I go through this, I look at snapshot 1 and hierarchy. The height is the little number, should be quantity. There it goes. Start to see some, it's kind of interesting. So this is the total count for each. So let's add some labels. Hierarchy. Let's have this logic that it's for, say, the top. No, actually, bottom. Okay, so each of these is its own little mini pie chart in some sense. At least that's actually, or maybe one way to visualize it. So we could look at, oh, that's actually an interesting thought. Okay, so we can change the angle here to be, 359. Actually see this all split out in a pie pattern. And the reason it looks like so solid is that there are so many dots. So let's make this whiter. We'll see it more clearly. So each of these is a respondent, and patterns up. We'll see it a little more clearly. So each of these is basically just counting up the number of people that responded. That's all that's happening. It's looking more dramatic for a variety of reasons. But actually what we should do is let's let snapshot 1 just be the side. Yeah, so let's just have that be the side. Supporting, rotate this minus 90 degrees. All right, so who did people support? Basically looks like a pie graph, but so nothing too fancy here, but let me make these connections maybe a little more subtle so it's a little less intense. Okay. So those are the overall numbers. If I add in quantity. So that's what we should convert to a percentage here as a calculated field. But this will work for now. So let's go with that. We have this view. Now let me add a step and duplicate this swarm. So we have the exact same swarm here, but on snapshot 1, oh no, snapshot 2, still using that actually. Snapshot 3, let's aggregate by quantity, but let's aggregate first by age. Age bin, summing the quantity for every age bin, and then the side is the next component. And the reason being is that I actually want to make one for each age group. So actually it's simpler. It's a filter. Yeah, actually. Okay, so let me start here. This is gonna be a little experimentation, a bit. See if this could suffice. Could be interesting if it does. So I'm going to add a button. So let me advanced, add a button. So this button. Let's try it. So if I filter in the age bay and work. Oh, cool. Okay, that's awesome. Oh, there's a labels. Okay. Okay, cool. That's even cooler. So what's happening here is that on the snapshots, and I realize I'm talking in jargon, so let me try to train 7. Okay, sorry, let me explain what's going on here. So these are arranged in a circle. You can think of this as like a 100% complete circle, and maybe make the size here a little bigger. So see them. So I'll change the color here. So what's kind of interesting is that essentially as I'm just applying a filter. So you're seeing it dynamically change here as the age gets younger and younger. The more percentage-wise you're seeing push more towards Biden, or for Will Smith, which is kind of interesting. Kind of a fun show it actually. So I wonder if we could show it as okay. Yeah, that's fine. This snapshot is this? Oh, so that one. Oh, thanks, Wolf Science Guy. I like your content too. I think yeah, it's really cool to see all this educational content on TikTok. I feel like we collectively are learning a lot more actually through this short form media, or it's reaching a lot more people. So it's awesome to see you on here, and I think you have awesome content. So keep it up. I'm going to start posting a lot more, and so hence why I'm going live here, just to try to get out of my own little funk of not really posting that often. But I have been more focused on just getting people's support to be able to build these themselves. So anyways, what was I doing? Oh, that's right. So if I go to the snapshots, and this is snapshot 1. Okay, so the thing I need to add, so we can show the color, is oh, that should still work. Does it not work? So I'm just looking into the connections and why connections are not showing. Oh, that's fine, because we don't have quantity for top level. So on snapshot 1 with inside, sum the quantity. Good word. Let's refresh. So side. It's some other perspective that's not set right. Okay, so that one's showing. That one's showing fine. Okay, I I'll probably have to jump out of here. I need to jump to this appointment for my pet, but I'll be on a little bit later and still working on this flow that is. Here, let me switch back over to me. Man, I gotta get better at clicking. Okay. Yeah, thanks for coming. I'll try to post more about like how we build these and really try to just be really accessible. So let me know if you have questions or if you want to see specific content. Otherwise, thanks so much for coming to this impromptu live, and catch you next time. Bye.